Are we ready? Hi. Good morning, my families. So, as my mom said, for those of you who are not fluent in Lindsay, we have subtitles, but I might go off script. We'll see. I ask for your patience. I'm I'm nervous. And I'm also getting over bronchitis, so here we go. We are all, each and every one of us, whole. We are whole. It may not feel like it right here. No. And now, with the weights of the world pulling down on us, or the millions of frustrating and distracting thoughts that are playing in our minds on the loop. But those are simply thoughts and stories that we have come to believe are true. The list of reasons for our not feeling whole are endless. Our bodies might be disintegrating before our very eyes. We may have lost our nephew or our jobs or our partners or our homes. We may be in search of unbelievable pain. That we feel like we might drown or even die. But we are home. we are holy, just as we are in this very moment and in this we are whole. I keep using this word, wholeness, but what is it? When I think of wholeness, I often picture the symbol for the yin and yang. Within each is a part of the other, and together they form a complete circle. There is no light without darkness. There is no movement without stillness. There is an up because there is a down. We are all beautifully complex creatures. Will you move the mic down a little bit? Yeah. Not only do we have many, many facets to our beings, but we have the capacity to evolve and transform throughout our lives and even moment to moment. Our darkness is no more or less important than our light. Sadness and anger and confusion are just as valuable and divine as joy and peace and revelation. But it's not easy to sit in our English and believe it's divine. It's not a part of our cultural upbringing to embrace a perceived destruction of our beings. I usually indulge a bit in my falling apart. I'm also a drama queen. I believe that crying and weeping and wailing are very important ways to express our sadness. I believe that cathartic destruction of inanimate objects is really important. And it's really freeing. It is. It really is. On a side note, I like to roll over things in my chair. chocolate. I also believe that chocolate is medicine, and it should be eaten with wild abandon, at least, if not every month, a few times a year. And dancing like you are on fire, or you're summoning a tornado, are also really, really helpful. I am a huge fan of the Hindu goddess Kali, with her potent and visceral destructive powers. She is the destroyer of the ego and the great mother who liberates souls. She is compassionate in her tough love, for she knows that the only way to create anything new is by destroying what was. She is the force behind our sense of falling apart. She is the one who forces us to open our eyes to what is actually going on. Now, what is actually going on when we're falling apart is often not what we think. In moments of falling apart, we cling to our ideas of what should be. But should is the nemesis of what is. When we believe our bodies should be a certain way, or our lives should be this way or that, we are robbing ourselves of the acceptance of what is truly at our core, what is truly our nature. We are denying our ability to trust in the universe, in the web of interconnection, and in the love that is always surrounding us and in us. One of my darkest times in my life, was this past fall. And I've been living with ALS for 7 years, so you know it was bad. For 6 years, I have been adamantly against the idea of getting a feeding tube. To me, it was a symbol of my approaching death. Because it meant that I could no longer take part in one of my all-time favorite things, eating. Yeah, because it meant that I was going to be implanted with this weird plastic alien cyborg part, and I would not be human anymore. Because it meant that my vanity could not deal with this ugly ass tube sticking out of my belly. But I was exhausted and I was starving all the time. So I gave in and I changed my mind. So the weight of that decision was, it was tremendous. I was terrified. But the doctors said that I would be uncomfortable for a few days, and then I would be fine. 2 weeks into having my feeding tube, I was still in bed. I had an intense, searing pain in my gut. My body was rejecting the liquid nutrition that the insurance company had approved. It was not even food, it was some weird chemical combination of milk. I was even more exhausted and still starving, and I regretted my decision, and it was ugly, and it felt foreign, and I wanted to give up and die. And then something miraculous happened. It was Halloween, which is the time when the veil between the world of the living and the world of the spirits is thin. And that was the day the ladybugs descended. Oh, there were more ladybugs in my room than I have ever seen in my entire life. I felt that they had come to me to be my guardians. Every night they would sit in the four corners of my room on the ceiling, and every day they would march. They would march around and make patterns, and I decided that they were actually drawing me maps to the cosmic order of the universe. They helped me pull my head out of my agony. I was not alone, and they were there to prove it. They helped me remember that I am more than my pain. I was a part of something much, much greater than myself. I was able to remember prayers that I had written. Grandmother Spider, teach me to weave a web to hold all of my parts. Show me the way to shine in my darkness. Help me feel connected to the great web that brings us all together. What happened?
What, you got ahead of yourself?
No, I scratched out by mistake.
That's okay.
Oops.
I allow my body, my soul, my being to be held in a love that is greater than my comprehension and my wildest imaginings. My every cell, my every atom is permeated by love. It flows through my entire being, and it connects me to all that is. And so it is. Blessed be. Something happens to us when we feel truly held and not abandoned. We open, even if it's a tiny little bit, we still open. When we open, we can make room for acceptance. We can make room for coming into the present moment. We can let go of those stories that are not true. in my room full of ladybugs. I was still in great physical pain, and I was furious with the healthcare system. But I did not want to give up anymore, because I was able to open my thinking and change my perception of what was happening. I was not dying, not in the least. I was simply taking more time to recover. I was able to look at my pain and ask it, what are you trying to tell me? I often feel like that's why we have pain, because we're missing something that's going on inside of us or around us. My pain wanted me to know that it was okay to take time to recover, that it is important to have moments of not doing anything. My pain was telling me to practice being. That's okay. Simply being. And to know that being is valid. Once I came to terms with this, I allowed myself to get quiet. And then I realized why I was not ready to give up, because I have more poetry to write, because I have more paintings to paint, because I have more recipes to to make, and love to give. I was able to remember that I am whole. I am holy. And I know that all of you are too. Thank you. Ha ha!